Hey, hello. I recently finished reading Don't Cry for Me and Isaac's Song by Daniel Black. And I absolutely love these two books. And I decided to talk to you about them today. There is different information online on these books. Some people say that this is a duology, and some people say that these are companion books, and you can potentially read them separately. But when I was trying to check it myself, I think the official version that these are companion books. Nonetheless, in my opinion, I think the best experience you can get from reading these books if you actually read them together. And you start with Don't Cry for Me, and after that you read Isaac's Song. Because this is the chronological way how these books are written and in terms of the story progression. This is the reason why today I would like to talk to you about both of these books together in the same video. These books tell a story of a father and a son, of their fractured relationship, and how they're trying to find a way to each other. These books speak of generational conflict, racism, and homophobia, but I think the main point of these books is actually exploring the relationship between parents and children. That's why I think these books are timeless, because they speak of love between children and parents, and how sometimes this love can be fractured, and how certain traumas can irreparably break the family unit. In Don't Cry for Me, we follow Jacob's story. Jacob is Isaac's father, and we see the story from Jacob's perspective. Because Jacob is dying, he was diagnosed with lung cancer, and he knows that he will not live long. And he is desperate to explain himself to his son before he dies, and try to repair some damage that he caused to Isaac, and try to tell him how much he loves him. He writes these letters to his son, trying to explain himself. He covers his whole life since the childhood, trying to paint the whole picture of his life, in the hope that his son will understand him better after it. It is the last desperate attempt of a dying man to reach out to his son and explain to him how much he loves him despite everything. And in Isaac's Song, we follow perspective of Isaac after passing his father, Jacob. Isaac finds himself disturbed after passing his father because he's desperately trying to understand why he's grieving so much for his father, even though he always thought that they have fractured relationship and they were pretty much estranged. And in order to understand himself, he goes to therapy. And upon therapist's suggestion, Isaac starts writing a diary, covering his life, when he is trying to piece his life together and trying to recall these past events, trying to understand what actually happened, because he realizes that the memory that he has of his father, of his mother, of his relationship with his parents are not necessarily true. In Don't Cry for Me, we start following Jacob since his childhood, and we see the seeds that made him the man he is. The book explores a fast-shifting meaning of manhood and how Jacob fails to adapt it over time. The world is changing much faster than Jacob ever could, because in his childhood, there was a very clearly defined idea of boyhood and manhood. The idea of real man was based on the idea of hard work, resilience, and ability to provide to his family. The virtue of man was to be able to provide food, shelter, and money to his family, and the emotions weren't really that necessary. Additionally, we see exploration of trauma caused by slavery, how it affected people and their families, and how hundreds of years of slavery created self-hatred with an absence of self-love. The book shows how an absence of self-love translates in an ability to express love towards others, even people closest to you. Jacob says that we loved each other if love means respect, but respect wasn't something that your generation wanted. You wanted something that you could feel in your heart, and I didn't know what it was. Jacob couldn't provide something he didn't have in his heart because he was growing up on ideas of resilience and hard work, and he wasn't allowed to love or dream because these were just frivolities. He couldn't allow himself to dream of anything better because dreaming was a luxury, and the burden of life was too heavy for him to bear. The main focus was on survival and passing on the skills to his children. Jacob's life in the American South was harsh and poor and created very harsh people. Jacob started going to school at 6 years old, but he was going sporadically because survival and work was a priority. He had to go to a field pretty much every day, and education wasn't really seen as a priority by elders. He was going to school a few times a month, and obviously he didn't receive a great education. At some point he had to abandon education whatsoever. And actually education is one of the main points of these two books, because throughout the books you can see this message of importance of education, because it allows for self-reflection, for better understanding of yourself and world around you. Jacob was a very stubborn and unyielding man, with very strong ideas about how to behave as a man. And that's why Isaac, his son, was always a bane of his existence, because Isaac was different. And Jacob felt that he failed him as a father. Jacob couldn't dream because he didn't know how to. He never learned how to dream. That's why he could never think of anything different for his own son, but just to be a carbon copy of himself, because he just wanted to instill in Isaac the skills that he thought will aid in his survival. But by the end of Don't Cry For Me, we see that Jacob is trying to change. He starts reading, and he is genuinely trying to understand his wife and his son. We see how his understanding of the world is changing, and how he starts seeing his past and his present in a very different lens. He tries to examine his past relationship with his grandfather and his grandmother, and he uncovers some truths about his mother that he never knew, and some dark secrets that were buried a long time ago. He starts appreciating differences in humans, and come with a different understanding of women around him. I found this part of the book the most beautiful in my opinion. But at the same time, it's the most cathartic and painful part for Jacob, when he realizes that many things he thought were true were actually wrong, and how he probably irreparably damaged the relationship with his son. And at the end of the book, he writes to Isaac, "If you get nothing from this letter, understand that I never knew how to love. I dream of it, but I never experienced it. What I knew was pain, so that's what I gave you." I think this final part perfectly summarizes the book and all tragedy of this relationship. But in Isaac's song, we actually get the perspective of Isaac, how he sees his relationship with his father and his mother, and how he's trying to unravel his past memories, and how with great surprise to himself he actually realizes that his relationship with his father weren't really that bad, and maybe his relationship with his mother wasn't that perfect. He starts appreciating his father the way he was. It didn't diminish all the trauma that his father caused him, but at the same time Isaac started understanding how much his father loved him and how much he sacrificed in order for Isaac to have everything he had. This book celebrates the resilience and all the sacrifices our parents make for us, and how, without realizing it sometimes, everything we have today, everything we managed to achieve in our lives, is pretty much built on their sacrifices. I think these two companion books were absolutely brilliant, and they discuss such important matters, and I think every one of us can truly benefit from reading these books. I just really want all of you grab these books and read them. I really hope you like this review. Please let me know if you read these books or if you're planning to read them. And I'll see you soon. Bye.